Hello, everybody. My name is Luke, and for speech three, I'm still going to be talking about marine conservation, but to be more specific, I'm going to be talking about our Texas coast. And to be even more specific, I'm going to be going into the fishing industry. I know not everybody likes to fish, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's still a very big industry within our state and one that holds a lot of impact on the quality and amount of marine conservation that we have. According to Texas Outdoor Digest, conservation issues have never been more important, especially as there is more demand to partake in recreational opportunities. The Texas coast has become a hotbed not only for fishing, but also the concerns that come with an influx of traffic. Um, what that's trying to say really is every state, almost every country, especially Texas, is just growing um, tremendously in population. And how do we enforce conservation policy that is going to be able to combat the amount of people being born and the amount of people moving to Texas? Because with more people, there's going to be more people that want to fish. Um, Texas has done an amazing job, Texas Parks and Wildlife, with their conservation efforts. And with that being said, there is still a lot of room for improvement. If Texas does not enforce a policy that restricts commercial fishing more, we will see an exponential decline in marine life. So, to start, my point of view, regardless of how well we have ensured conservation, Texas is still a component of greed. For a lot of lawmakers and policymakers, all these people coming into Texas, the growing cities, that's revenue for them. And for the state of Texas, there's a whole lot of revenue in fishing licenses. So my plea overall would be to lower greed. If we can lower greed, we can ensure conservation. But with that being said, that's hard to do with any state, any country, any governing body. Greed is always going to be one of the driving motivators. One thing to point out that Texas did well was in response to the freeze of 2021. There was a big freeze that I'm sure some of y'all experienced, and Texas Parks and Wildlife and the policy had a really good response. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of fish were killed all along Texas coast. There was problems with the oxygen in the water. They weren't used to that type, so the freeze killed thousands of fish. But when that was over, that didn't stop people from fishing. However, Texas changed limits. You couldn't take 5 trout anymore. You could only take 3, and it had to be an even more confined length of measurement. It was a perfect way to combat that because people were greedy, just like the state, and we're still going to go out and fish and keep as many fish as they could catch. And this is just a quick example of great policy. According to Caller Times, the spotted sea trout or speckled trout is one of the most popular game fish along the Texas coast, and reason anglers, local and from across the state and nation, come to the coastal bend. The freeze slowed down fishing in the sense that it killed off fish, but it very temporarily stopped people from fishing. Our fish population dropped, and the number of fishermen continued to rise. And the people that are going out and just catching the same amount of fish and doing more and more with all the increases in fishing technology are just really delusional to the long-lasting effects of how this will impact our marine life. I speak on passion because of this book right here, which gives stories of professional fishers, guide fishermen, and their personal thoughts on why policy needs to change and why fishing overall in Texas needs to change. Commercial fishing needs to be reduced, and the use of live bait needs to stop. In the book, you'll see that the number of commercial fishermen has just gone up exponentially. There's more people in Texas, meaning there's more people that want to hire people to take them fishing, and these numbers are just going up and up and up. And we're not putting fish in the ocean. They're not evolving in the sense that they can reproduce faster. Nothing in their environment has changed except for our influence. We're adding more people. We're commercial fishing more, whether it's HEB, crabbing. But just to talk specifically about the book, we're talking about the sea trout, the speckled trout. And I know some people might think it's silly to be so passionate about a subject, but since I've been fishing and since I've been little, there's less marine life that I see when I'm out there. And this book directly talks about it. Scott Murray, the author, says, Texas's population has grown from 23 million in 2010 to 27 million in 2020, with an expected increase to 34 million in 2030. So, like I said, in supporting what I said earlier, there's only going to be more people, and we're still doing the same policy. Texas just announced that they're going to bring the measurements and the guidelines that they enacted in response to the freeze, and they're bringing them back, which, in my opinion, is an incredible mistake. We were showing good signs of caring and moving down the correct path to proper marine conservation on our coast, and we're just reverting back to our old ways of greed. The steady growing number of fishermen and women needs to be monitored and prohibited, and live bait needs to be completely prohibited, just for the basic survival of our fisheries and for future generations to enjoy it. Without the specific change I've explained, future generations will never enjoy the recreational aspect of our coastal areas. When I was little, you would hear older generations talk about how they used to catch fish by the barrels. And today I laugh at that, because if they hadn't have caught fish by the barrels, fishing would be just as good as it was then as it is, would be just as good now as it was then. It's ironic that they say that with so much pride, and in the future, as an older gentleman, I don't want to say that to kids wondering why our fisheries are non-extinct. If we can bring forth proper policy change, then the sport can still be enjoyed. The trout population has grown because of the freeze policy, and we do not need to stop fishing. Nobody will, and that's not the idea that I have in mind. We just need to do an even better job. We don't need to bring policies back. We need to continuously enforce stricter and stricter policies. And just in conclusion, two more. According to Texas Saltwater Fishing Magazine, Texas saltwater licenses sales are growing at a rate of about 2,000 new fishermen and women per month. In addition, Texas Parks and Wildlife explains that research is a critical component of natural resource conservation. Without reliable knowledge and rigorous scientific inquiry, scientists cannot make informed conservation decisions. We can't make these decisions if we can't have new policy around long enough to gather data, make scientific decisions, and overall make the best decision for our and Texas's marine life. So overall, my call to action would to be, if you can and if you care, inform others, catch and release if you fish, but just be more conservation minded. Thank you.